Hey folks, so I got this Lionel Polar Express G-Gauge set for my son, and it takes 6 C batteries unfortunately to run. And what I realized is very quickly the C battery is depleted. The first set depleted within like an hour and a half or something like that. So that got me thinking whether I could use a rechargeable one, and it seems like the previous one had a rechargeable battery. So what I ended up doing was like, even though the previous version was, I looked online on YouTube and everywhere, and I tried to find how to put a rechargeable battery in here. Unfortunately, it seems like in the latest version Lionel has removed that capability for you to put a rechargeable battery. So in the previous version, here's that. They actually had the rechargeable battery, and even the C battery is going from within the I guess the caboose or whatever, the stuff that carries the coal. And in there right now it's just all plastic. There is nothing in here, right? So you can't really use this one. So in my search to figure out what to do, I figured out that there is a battery from Tenergy that is 9.6 volt nickel magnesium hydride that we can use, except no way to put it. So here, if you take a look at this one, so here is the engine, right? I have undone the engine. I have actually unscrewed the engine, and unscrewing it was actually relatively straightforward. All I had to take out were about 8 screws, one at the beginning of the engine, like where the front portion, where this portion actually goes and connects. So that was there, 1, 2 there, 2 at the back, right where the right beneath the these 2 wheels, and then there were 2 more actually, one over here, and then 1 over actually right over here. These are a little bit harder to get to if you have a little bit of a straight screwdriver like this one that I was using. It worked just fine. So after I took it out, what I realized was, well, I mean, all the linkages for running the crankshaft and all that, those are out right now. So what I realized was, all they have done is, here are the battery terminals that actually take the power all over to the rest of the engine, right? And there are a bunch of connectors. And even though I could do something smart, instead of doing all of that, what I realized was, if I just solder the connector right over here, as in, if you look at the Tenergy, right? If you look at the Tenergy battery, it has this special kind of connector. So what I'm going to do is essentially buy just this connector and the batteries, and then I'm going to solder that one over here. The female kind I'll solder over here, and then I'll charge my batteries and I'll place it here. Now here's the thing. It says it's a 1/2 inch high, 2.3 inches wide, and 4 inches tall. So now the thing is, if we measure the battery pack itself, right? I mean, this battery pack that we are getting, then observe that this is actually about from edge to edge, it's about 2.5 almost. So potentially, and this thing is like, definitely higher than 1 inch almost, and the length is way more than, like, 4. It's almost like 6 inches. So the battery should probably fit. If you tilt it slightly, it should go in, so it shouldn't really be too much of a problem. Given that, I just wanted to make sure that these are the terminals and this is where the power is flowing on. That's pretty obvious because this battery pack actually connects via these 2 terminals, right? So I just wanted to make sure that the 9.6 volt actually will work. So here I have what is called as a constant voltage device. So this can provide me any voltage. So I want to test that out. So I will actually first, here's the red terminal. That goes to the red one over there, and then the black one goes to the black one. Okay, there we go. Now I'm just gonna switch it on. Okay, so observe that this actually switched on. Here it says 9 volts, right? It's not even the 9.6 volt that the thing actually claims. I'm going to actually later test it with 9.6 volts. First, let's see if it works with 9. So here, switch this thing on, and observe that the sound went away. The thing is paired. And if you actually run it gently forward, see, it actually did start running. It's running actually quite fast, so which is amazing, right? Which proves that these are the connectors, and I just need to solder the positive and negative terminal here. I'm going to turn it off for a second, over here and over here as well. Just give it a second to switch off. There. So, and I'm going to take it off just for sake of safety and all that. And switch it on again, give it a second, and I'm going to bump it up to 9.6 volts. Okay, so there you go, 9.6, just to make sure that the battery pack will indeed work and nothing weird is gonna happen. Right, so this is 9.6 volts, and let's see if that works. So we'll put this over here, first switch it off. Okay, that's good. And then there we connect the red one, there we connect the black one, then we hold it up in the hand so that it's not gonna run away. Then we're gonna switch it on. Okay, so again observe, this thing actually came up, and now we're gonna switch it on. There the sound comes in, and forward again it works just fine, no issues. The current is about constant here, it's like 337 milliamps, so that's just fine. So anyway, so that's my goal. The next thing I'm gonna do is buy the Tenergy battery pack from Amazon, and let's make sure bell works, this works. So all the functions seem to work. So all we need to do is now get the battery pack, solder the ends over here, and slide in the battery. That should take care of it. I will leave it a little bit of a slack over here so that the cable actually extends and I can place it in and out without any further ado. So with that, I will see you in the next section where I will purchase the batteries and see if they actually work out. And it is my feeling that it should work out without too much fuss. Thank you. Alright folks, so here today I finally got the battery pack, and let me show you the battery pack. So this is the battery pack that I got. The thing about the battery pack was, one, I was trying to make sure whether it fits in the engine where the C batteries used to go or not. And it's actually easy to see. This is the place where let me see if I can place it on my foot, and then maybe you can see it better. Here. So this is the battery pack, and it seems to actually slide in and out pretty fine. There is really no reason for it not to fit. So that was pretty good. And over here, as you can see, the depth of the battery is like much lesser than the depth of the compartment, so that was also fine. The only main concern that I had was, see, there is a plastic cover around the battery. So over here, these wires are actually sticking on this side, over here, because of which the battery width was increasing just a hair, and this was not fitting towards the end. So what I did was, I took the let's take a look here. I snipped the covering a little bit, making sure very carefully so that these wires don't get snipped or broken in any way, and just I moved it so that if you can see over here, actually in one line, the wires are now in the same line as the battery. Actually they're a little bit towards the inside of the battery, so it would not actually have a problem. So that was one portion of the whole thing. The second portion was that what I realized, I'm not a battery guru. So it said 9.6 volts, but what I realized is that voltage actually doesn't mean that the maximum voltage is going to be 9.6 volts. When I actually measured it using my multimeter, I realized that this thing was about 10.4. So I looked it up online, and it seems like 9.6 and NiMH batteries can actually go all the way up to 10.4 or so voltage. So anyway, I got a pack of, I tested it out, and it seems like the thing is holding just fine on the 10.4 and even 11. Because even though I haven't charged it fully, I do have from the last time you must have seen, I have a device that can actually bump the voltage up to any arbitrary range that I want. So I bumped it all the way to 11.4, and there was no adverse effect on the engine. And given that this is likely the exact same thing that Lionel was selling before, and they simply removed the circuitry I actually shouldn't even say the circuitry, just the connector for the 9.6 volts. All we have left over is these two terminals, and what I ended up doing was, I just bought these set of connectors. You can buy them in male and female pairs. It's it's not very hard. Then I picked up two wires, soldered the connectors in, and if we look, this is how, actually it's not very complicated. You get actually parts like this. So you see it has a little arrow like thing on the edge. Let's take a little bit carefully. See, it has an arrow like thing on it. Usually what you would do is, on this side, you push in a wire, right? See, it's easier to see now. You push in a wire from here, expose a little bit of the terminal of the wire, then you can actually, you don't even need to solder, you can just crimp these things. Crimping just means you take this tab and push it in, so that it's a very rigid connection, and then so that the metal portion is permanently touching these things. Now after that, it's really simple. You take one of these pieces and just push it inside the connector. So let me show you the connector. So here, let's see, here is a connector. So the one that you have there is the male type connector. So this is the female type connector you actually need. All you need is like after you have connected the two wires, you just push it in and that's it. It actually, that this little thing that you saw, the little barbs at the end of this thing. Wait, hold on, let me see again, show you again. There you see the barbs at the end of this thing, right there. There are barbs at the end. They just latch on and that's it. That's all you need. So after that, I connected this thing. So I connected the Tamiya connector, and then if you look at the battery pack and we just plug it in, and let me plug it in a little bit without getting encumbered with all the stuff and all. There. See, this actually is 10.4. I have measured that it's actually 10.4. In fact, we can measure it one more time. This is my multimeter. This over here is my multimeter. Okay, you can see that the multimeter right now showing this voltage. We can stick this in here, let's say somewhere over there, and then we can touch it over here, and you can see it's almost like 10.4 volts. Doesn't seem to have any ill effects on the car actually. And if I take a look at my remote, this is the remote. Let's switch it on. So I will hold this thing over here in my hand. Let me place it actually this way so that the wheels cannot really run away. And let's switch it on and let's see. See, the wheels seem to run just fine. So with that test, everything seems fine, and we can actually go ahead and put the whole thing back together. And I will show you how it works at the end once I have put everything back together. So essentially, even at 10.4 and even at 11.4, I tested it with the device that I have. I tested it with the whole 11.4 volts, which is the max at an NiMH 9.6 can go. It seems to work just fine. Let me switch this thing off actually, so it's not beeping. There. And let's see. This is the last bit. As you can see, I was able to actually slide in the battery just fine. So the battery rests there and the connector is over here. We can actually just take the connector and let me see if I can show you. So there you go. That's the battery. In fact, we can pull the battery out just to show you. There. So the battery just gets pulled out. You can push it back in. It's a little bit of a tight fit. So once you push it back in, just put this one back in and connect. Let me show you after it is done. Here is the engine with the battery door actually closed properly and good as new. Let's test one more time to make sure everything runs. Yep, still working. Awesome. And now we're gonna do one final test on the track and see how that works. And folks, here is the final train running. The son seems pretty happy with his new and improved train. And this is like barely any speed that we have put it on. If you bump it up to max, let's see what happens. See, the train just goes. Quite happy with actually the final results, and I didn't fry anything. And I guess I figured out how to do this thing with a little bit of ingenuity. Hopefully this can help someone else too. Good luck with your endeavors.